Sean Connery, Marlon Brando, Steve McQueen, even Daniel Craig. These men had something today most men have lost. Not just style, not just confidence, something deeper, something biological. And when you understand what it was, everything about male health starts to make sense. We live in an era where men have more information than ever, more supplements, more protocols, more fitness content. And yet, energy is declining, focus is declining, physical condition is declining, hormonal health is in crisis. Most men are told their blood work is normal, and yet they still feel terrible because normal is not optimal and nobody is looking at the right things. My name is Sebastian. I'm a metabolic architect. For 17 years, I've been studying what actually drives male health, not trends, not marketing, the biological systems underneath. I've worked with hundreds of professional men who were doing everything right on paper, but they still couldn't understand why their body wasn't responding. The answer is always the same. They were treating symptoms, nobody had showed them the system underneath. Today I'm going to walk you through the complete male hormone hierarchy, not just testosterone, which is what everyone talks about, but the full picture, every tier, every marker, what optimal actually looks like, what your blood panel should include, and how to read it yourself. This is the video I wish it existed 17 years ago when I started this journey. Let's start with something most men get completely wrong. Testosterone is not the foundation of male hormone health, it's the result of it. And until you understand what sits underneath, nothing else will make sense. So let me show you the hierarchy. So we start from tier 1, as you can see. So these are called the foundational hormones because they are at the base of this pyramid. So we have cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So basically, when you have a stress in your life, cortisol will be released in your body just to regulate some processes. For example, in nature, when you have the prey and the predator, so let's say that the predator is chasing the prey will have cortisol elevated for the moment. But let's say that the prey will escape, so the cortisol will get back to the baseline. So this is the perfect scenario. But right now in the modern world, it's not happening because you have many types of stress in your life, could be even environmental stress. So stress will stay elevated and you don't integrate activities that will de-stress. And then stress, cortisol will stay elevated, and then this will lead to chronic stress or chronic cortisol, chronic elevated cortisol to be more precise. So then we have insulin. This is the energy storage hormone. So this is like a key. This key is opening the cells. So the glucose, which is the smallest particle of carbs, will get into the cell. But then you have problems when you consume too many carbs at once, for example, and then this glucose will stay in the blood. So this will bring other problems down the line. So insulin is super important. And then we have oxytocin, which is also called the bonding hormone. So let's say that you are with your partner, your body will release this hormone. Let's say that you are hugging a friend or you are having pets. Yeah, these are other methods. And then we have tier 2. So these are metabolic and precursor hormones. So you can see here DHEA. This is called the vitality hormone. It's basically connecting tier 1 with tier 3, which I'm going to explain in a second. Then we have pregnenolone here, so converts into cortisol and DHEA. Thyroid hormones, super important. The most important hormone will be here T3, because this is the active hormone. So you need to have this hormone as high as possible. Then we have melatonin, which is the peak. It's at 1 a.m. So what I would recommend is to be in bed at 9:10, so you can be in a good deep sleep, and then you're gonna have the maximum exposure of melatonin. And also, this melatonin is also a powerful antioxidant. So you need to have as much exposure to antioxidants as possible. There is always this balance between pro-oxidants and antioxidants, and obviously you want to have as many as possible. Then we have prolactin. I have a video explaining what prolactin is, and obviously you don't want to have high levels of this. It's not recommended, and it's also called the libido killer. Then we have LH and FSH. So these hormones are basically a connection between the brain and the gonads. So they will give you a good indication of fertility. Estradiol, which is also considered the female hormone, but I don't consider it a female hormone. I consider it a stress hormone. So yeah, when it's too elevated as a man, you're gonna have female characteristics, we can say. CHBG is another one. So this one is bound to testosterone. So this is inactive testosterone. Then we have free testosterone. This is active testosterone, and testosterone will be at the peak, we can say. So this is the male hormone. This pyramid will give you a clear indication of which hormones are the most important, or what is the foundation, and then you need to build it from there. So you cannot just trigger or just increase testosterone. You have to fix, the foundation first, and then obviously testosterone will be high based on how can I say, the consequence of you solving or fixing these hormones. Okay, let's talk about some numbers here. So testosterone, these are my numbers that I build over the years, and I believe this is the exact spot in which a man should be. And I believe those guys that are mentioned initially have these levels easily, or had. So total testosterone should be between 600 and 1000 nanogram per deciliter. And then we have free testosterone, so should be 10 plus. And the reason for that is this one. So consider it total testosterone as being the gross income. Let's say you have a business, and free testosterone will be the net profit. So obviously you want to have total testosterone as high as possible, but also you want to have free testosterone as high as possible as well. So as you can see here, testosterone and CHBG, this is inactive, and there is another protein, albumin, is active, we can say, but the most important thing will be here free testosterone. So free testosterone needs to be from 2 to 5%. So this will give you a clear indication, okay, you can gain muscle mass and you can utilize the testosterone and so on. So this is more important than total testosterone, but obviously you want to have total testosterone as high as possible as well. If you're dealing with low free testosterone, it means potentially that you have high SHBG, or sex hormone binding globulin. And the potential cause can be unbound iron. So this is free iron that is running in your body. High iron can bring oxidative stress, which is a big problem, and this is the inability to use iron. And iron is the central role in managing oxygen. Sorry. So what you need to know here is that testosterone should be between 600 and 1000, and free testosterone should be at least 2% of that. And then I have here an example. I would say this is already high. If you are at 800, that's completely fine. I just had a client who went to 1400 nanogram per deciliter, which is super high. So it's possible to get, over this number. Is it recommended? Not really. I mean, you don't gain much after that, and you can deal with other problems like liver problems. But the next one will be CHBG. I'll recommend between 15 and 40. If it's too high, it means exactly what explained, less free testosterone. If it's too low, insulin resistance or liver issues. So this is a good indication that your body is functioning properly regarding liver as well. Estrogen, or we like to call it estradiol, should be at maximum 20 or 20. If it's too low, you're gonna deal with joint pain, low libido. If it's too high, you can deal with gyno, love handles, and belly fat. Then we have LH and FSH. This is important for brain signal to the testicles, as I mentioned. If it's too low, you can deal with brain problems. If it's too high, testicles are not responding. It's also, I'm gonna teach you something in a second when you're gonna do the blood work, and you know exactly where this problem with low testosterone is coming from. Then we have prolactin, should be less than 18 nanogram per milliliter. I have a video about this. If you're dealing with high prolactin, you're gonna deal with low libido, low testosterone, and you're gonna be more emotional, so taking more emotional decisions, which is not a good thing. Cholesterol, so total should be between 160 and 180. LDL should be less than 100. HDL should be bigger than 70. Okay, so yeah, this is what cholesterol is all about. Then we have some indications that your thyroid is doing the job properly. So ferritin, less than 100. Zinc, which is a mineral, and copper. Okay, hemoglobin is the next one from 12 to 15. As you can see, reflects oxygen delivery, energy production, and supports thyroid and adrenal function. So it's mentioned here is because these are connected with each hormone. Liver enzymes, these are one of the most important ones. So if these numbers are out of ranges, I'm gonna give you even the numbers in a second. It means that you're dealing with poor detox. So you have too much estrogen or inflammation coming from certain foods, certain habits. Homocysteine, high levels means inflammation, poor methylation, and this can affect stress regulation and neurotransmitters. Vitamin D from 40 to 80 nanogram per deciliter. This is very important for insulin sensitivity, even testosterone production. So yeah, it's important to get at least 10 to 15 minutes of sun when you can, if possible, daily. If not, you can compensate with nutrition. Cod liver oil, for example, not the supplement, the actual food is very, very high in vitamin D. This is what people, from countries like Sweden or Norway are doing, or they are supposed to do to consume fatty fish because they can get the vitamin D from there. Okay, hope this makes sense so far. And yeah, I want to mention here a bit the numbers again. So what I recommend here is definitely to start with, these ones here. But don't worry, I'm gonna give you all the actionable steps that you need, so you can actually apply what you learn here. So these are the numbers again. If you want to get a bit more advanced, that's totally fine. You go to the next level. So the HT, this is converted from testosterone. It's important this one to be pretty much you want to have high testosterone and also high DHT, insulin, growth hormone, and so on. And also what I recommend here, obviously this is extensive. So thyroid, as you can see here, I'll recommend to check TSH, should be less than 2, and also free T3. So these two ones will be the most important ones. Free T3 should be as high as possible. Liver, I'll recommend these ones. Obviously, there are many more, but these ones will give you a clear indication. This is what I do with our clients. Then we have iron, as you can see here. You don't want to have crazy high levels of iron. So usually if you have very high testosterone, 1000 plus, there is potentially a problem with the iron. So you need to check that as well. Again, how I see things is that you don't want to fall into extremes. yeah, high testosterone is amazing and so on, but also this can bring problems. And I'm I'm not a guy who's in extremes. I want to, to see the body being balanced, if you know what I mean. Then we have minerals, zinc and copper, and then we have these ones that I mentioned previously. So, and yeah, let's go to the actionable steps. And yeah, this will be the last part. So, what to avoid before blood work? I'll say sleep deprivation, no orgasm 1 day before test, no fasting, no alcohol, and early morning blood work at 10 a.m. will be recommended because this is the peak for androgens for testosterone. So you can see like actually, um, like the highest you can get. So this is the basic blood work. So total testosterone, free testosterone, estrogen, LH, and CHBG. And then if you want to have something more extensive, which so I recommend if you don't want to do the extensive one, get this one twice a year. And if you want to do the extensive one, of course, this one plus the extensive one, you get it just 1 year. It's good because you're gonna have the data every year and then you can compare. So lipid profile, cortisol, FSH, prolactin, thyroid panel, iron, vitamin D, and liver panel. Exactly what I mentioned before. So here is the thing, and this is something very interesting. If you are dealing with primary hypogonadism, which is a fancy word to say low testosterone, it means that the problem is coming from the testicles. So this means high LH and low testosterone. And you can see here where the problem is coming from. Xenoestrogens, oxidative stress, trauma or cancer, damaged receptors, testicular inflammation, and autoimmune conditions. But if you have secondary hypogonadism and the problem is coming from the pituitary gland, you're gonna have low LH, low testosterone. So could be pituitary tumor, trauma or surgery, steroids or TRT, hyperlectin levels, diabetes and obesity, and other medications. So yeah, this is it. Obviously, if you have any questions regarding everything that I explained here, feel free to message me on my Instagram. And if you want, like one-on-one help with your journey, just book a call with me. I'm gonna see if I can help you. The worst thing is that you're gonna get out of the call with some actionable steps and you know exactly what direction to get from here. And obviously, the best case will be that we end up working together. So, see you in the next video.